Today we are in Scotland, travelling along the highest mainline railway in the United Kingdom. However, things didn't quite go as planned, as this wasn't the train I was originally meant to be on. So join me as we cross the highest point on the mainline railway in the United Kingdom while travelling in first class with ScotRail from Inverness to Glasgow. Our journey begins from the railway station in the largest city in the Scottish Highlands, Inverness. Apart from the building being set back slightly from the main street, the station is blended in very nicely with its surroundings. And instead of waiting out here in the cold, let's head inside the station building. We enter straight into the main station hall of this medium-sized train station. Inside the station you'll find a ticket office and travel center. Next to it you'll find the waiting room, as well as a bar and kitchen and a coffee shop. There's also a small convenience store inside the station. And you'll also find some toilets as well as some lockers for luggage. I quite enjoyed this route map poster. We can see our location here, Inverness, in the heart of the Highlands, and we'll be heading south along this line towards Perth and onwards to Glasgow. The station wasn't very busy this morning, as there was only one empty pair of Class 158 train sets occupying a platform. The station layout is also quite interesting, as the station's platforms are split, curving in two different directions. But when I went back to consult the departure board, I discovered that this journey might not quite go as planned, as there was a notice about multiple train failures in the Inverness area. More about that a bit later in the video. Eventually though, a train arrives from Lairg, so at least some of the trains are working around here. But one thing that's always dysfunctional across all of the United Kingdom's railways is their needlessly complicated and very expensive ticketing system. Like for instance, if we were to purchase a ticket to Glasgow now, which is about a 3-hour journey, we'd be paying £55. Luckily, there are a few tips and tricks to get cheaper tickets. That's why I've partnered with Trip.com for this video. Trip.com is currently offering an amazing Black Friday promotion on railcards, giving you a third off most UK rail tickets for just £1, which on this journey alone means you'd already be saving £18 using a railcard. To take advantage of this incredible Black Friday deal, download the Trip.com app and search Simon on the homepage to access the Black Friday page during the 26th to 29th of November. But be quick, as there's only 400 railcards available for just £1. And even if you're not eligible for a railcard, the Trip.com app can still help you save on UK rail journeys. The Trip.com app finds cheaper tickets using split ticketing, offering savings of up to 30% or more with no booking fees. On November the 29th, new users can get up to 10% off UK and EU train tickets, as well as other discounts using my code #Friday9. So before you buy your ticket from the ticket machine, use my code #Friday9 to save on your next rail journey. Thanks again to Trip.com for sponsoring this video, and now let's go catch our train. Let's head to the platforms. Make sure you have your ticket ready to be scanned at the gate lines. And I was starting to get a bit worried, as it was only a few minutes till departure time and our train was still yet to arrive. But right on departure time, a train was pulling into the station. But it turned out not to be ours. This is the Caledonian Sleeper arriving from London Euston after completing its overnight journey. I would love to try out this night train one day, because I've heard very mixed things about these relatively new carriages. And finally, a few minutes after scheduled departure time, our train finally arrives inbound from Aberdeen. And here I was hit with quite a bit of disappointment. As according to the ScotRail website, this service is actually meant to be operated by one of Britain's most iconic trains, the HST, which ScotRail calls the Inter-7 City. But hey, a train is better than no train. At least I got a glimpse of what looks like a broken down HST power car. Taking us to Glasgow instead is this Class 170, a diesel multiple unit built by Adtrans and later Bombardier as part of their Turbostar family. They are capable of speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. Thanks to the delay, we won't be stopping here for long, so let's quickly get on board. First class is found at both the front and rear of the train and is in a 1+2 layout. I opted for this solo seat in the airline style configuration. Not long after settling in my seat, we depart Inverness at 8:46, running 5 minutes behind schedule. And now, as we make our way out of the station, let's take a closer look at the route map for today's journey. We are catching the 8:41 service to Glasgow, calling at Carbridge, Aviemore, Kingissie, Newtonmore, Dalwhinnie, Pitlochry, Dunkeld and Burnham, Perth, Stirling before terminating at Glasgow Queen Street. This is scheduled to take 3 hours 33 minutes to cover the 180 miles, which gives the train an average speed of 51 miles per hour. Shortly after departing Inverness, the complimentary onboard service in first class starts. It consists of a treat from the trolley as well as a hot beverage. We then cross over the Culloden Viaduct, the longest masonry viaduct in Scotland. And it was not long after I thought I was about to spill coffee onto myself. It turns out that the tray table was a bit sloppy and could actually tilt downwards, but the coffee luckily stayed in place. Most of the Highland Mainline is actually single track. And even before we reach our first scheduled stop, we get pulled to the side at the former Tomatin station that closed in 1965, as we have to let a freight train pass. And we're off again. Almost 40 minutes after leaving Inverness, we make our first station stop in Carbridge. And after the brief stop here, we shortly after pull into Aviemore station. This station is a former interchange point with a secondary line towards Perth, but nowadays this has since closed and is now partly operated as a heritage railway, which you can change for here in Aviemore. As expected, due to the delay, our stop is only brief and we're quickly on the move again. And as we continue to head south, I think it's about time to take a look at the seats. Above the seat you'll find plenty of space to store your luggage, and I think here's a former newspaper rack, but this was not in use. At the seat itself you'll find a tray table, but it has seen better days. There's no seat pocket in front, but there is a power outlet for every seat, and a small shelf here which was pretty good to place a drink on. The seat itself is very comfortable. Lots of padding, just don't push too hard on the seat itself, otherwise it's gonna shake. Overall, they're pretty comfortable. But judging by the pictures of first class on the HST, I don't think these Class 170s are quite as good. However, if a Class 170 turns up, you shouldn't be too disappointed, as it's still a very comfortable way to travel. This is Kingissie, where we meet with another northbound service. And a few minutes down the line we make another stop at Newtonmore.
This is Newtonmore. This train is for Glasgow Queen Street. The next stop is Dalwhinnie.
It's also worth mentioning that these trains supposedly have Wi-Fi. But I couldn't get it to connect at all, so I'm not sure how good it is. But who needs Wi-Fi when there's some beautiful scenery out the window? One thing I noticed as we depart here from Dalwhinnie is that this line still uses old semaphore signals. After Dalwhinnie, we are crossing over the Drumagda Pass. At 1484 feet, this is the highest point on the UK mainline railway network. There's actually a sign to denote this, but somehow I managed not to get any footage of it, so here's a picture instead. Most trains on the Highland Mainline are skip-stop, and we don't call at Blair Athol, for instance. And with us getting closer and closer to Glasgow, I think it's about time we take a look at the rest of the train. Leaving the small 9-seat first class area, we get into standard class. This comes with comfortable seats in a 2+2 layout, alternating between base of 4 and airline style seats. There's also plenty of luggage racks, and towards the middle of the train we'll find the accessible area, with an accessible toilet as well as some accessible seating. These trains are low floors, so when platforms allow, which is not very often, there is level boarding. Continuing down the train we find more standard class seating, again in the same layout. This also looks like a comfortable way to travel. And back to my seat. Remember what I just said about low platforms earlier? Here at Dunkeld and Burnham, they are actually so low that steps are provided on the platform.
This is Dunkeld and Burnham. This train is for Glasgow Queen Street.
And with that, we have pretty much crossed most of the Highland Mainline. As we are now coming into Perth, a major railway station interchange situated in the town of roughly 47,000 people. This is where the Highland Mainline ends, and instead we'll be heading on the line towards Glasgow via Stirling. In addition to the line towards Glasgow, services also diverge here to head towards Edinburgh, and there's also a line towards Dundee. As we depart out of Perth, we manage to catch one of the HSTs working a northbound service towards Inverness.
The next stop is Stirling.
And with just station stops left at Stirling before Glasgow, our journey is quickly coming to an end. We make the brief stop in Stirling, which is also our first stop on the electrified part of Scotland's railway network. And as it's only a few more minutes from here to Glasgow, it's time to sum up my thoughts. Overall, the Class 170 is a perfectly acceptable train. While I would have loved to be on a HST, this is much better than a cancellation, and they managed to make up most of the initial delay. I bought my ticket 2 weeks in advance and paid £53 in first class. This is a non-flexible, limited quantity advance ticket, where prices vary based on demand. I don't think this is amazing value, but it's still much better than the on-the-spot fare of £85. And here we are, pulling into Glasgow Queen Street Station, just a minute behind schedule. So, what do you think of the ScotRail Class 170? And have you tried the ScotRail Inter-7 City HST trains? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Twitter at IntercitySimon. I usually post live from my travels over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming to the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.
Bridge, Orkney, Rannoch, Career, Tilla, Roy Rich.